to our very first question. This time I'm pretty sure we do move on to the first question. All right, and with that, we will start with Mr. Fairbarn. What political or leadership experience do you have that you can bring to the table?
Yeah, so this is such an important one for me, and I had the opportunity last year to work in Lansing, and it actually was an amazing learning experience I had. I got to work for a firm down there, and it gave me the opportunity to see the inner workings and how the system works down in Lansing, because I knew I was going to run for this seat long before I decided to run for this seat. So I chose to do that so I could learn how lobbyists, legislators interact. And I think that's super important to know. To go down there with that experience once I get elected, it's gonna be leaps and bounds when I get down there. I'll be able to hit the ground running. That's so important. And it's crucial to note, in terms of leadership experience, I've taken every leadership experience I've been able to as a 23-year-old. I'm young. And that is something that I do both, because I think we do need fresh new ideas down in Lansing. Those are good things for our Republican Party and the longevity of our Republican Party. So that's something I'm passionate about, and we need to start gearing more towards the Republican Party. I don't think we engage our youth good enough, so let's get young people down in Lansing to do that. And a funny thing, I'll end on a joke because I like joking. If age and experience truly determined the quality of a candidate, Joe Biden would be the best president of.
Or did it you?
Mr. Carr?
Well, my sister and I went to boarding schools for kids without homes, and they made us work for hours a day. And I was a farm boy, and then we had this meeting, and I got elected class president, and I had no clue what politics was. I ended up being a college Republican president for my university. For a year after that, I ran a House for Runaways and Inner City program in East LA. Got this idea, and I flew into Washington, D.C. one night and didn't know anybody. And the next morning, I realized, what did I do? And this girl came walking across the campus, and I sold up. It's Mrs. Carr. I had to get a job, so I got a job with President Nixon. And then I went up on Capitol Hill, and I worked there, and worked for Congressman Burt Talcott. His wife was the head of the Republican Women. And then I worked for the RNC's Raymond V. Humphreys, probably the greatest strategist they ever had. And in 1996, I had this idea to run for the Congress here because Stupak was going to go into the Clinton administration. And election night, I had 58% of the vote in 28 counties. And so that's my political experience, except what we're doing now. And it's sort of fun. Karen and I do it together. You see our signs. It's the two of us. I've always said together is better.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Frisky?
So, I never aspired to be a career politician. I grew up on our family's orchard. I've been a small businessman my whole life. As far as leadership roles, I was class president for a few years in high school. I was actively involved in our church in East Jordan for several years. I led the church board there for a few years. More recently, I was part of the Stand Up Michigan group in Charlotte County. I was the vice chair of that group. And I was working hard during the whole pandemic time to advocate for each of you, for your rights, for against the governor, against all the mandates in the state. We were going to school board meetings, we were going to health board meetings, we were doing election integrity training, poll worker training. So I've been super involved in leadership of all different forms. I've owned businesses my whole life. I've done nothing but lead people my whole life, and that's the kind of representative I'm going to be when I get to Lansing.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Shield?
As I stated earlier, as county commissioner, when I was elected, I came into a county that was in the red in the budget. They had just finished spending millions of dollars on ambulance stations without a thought of how to pay for it, dark sky. We balanced the budget that next year without raising taxes, without cutting major programs. That was a $20 million budget. Half of that was state money passing through. So we only could balance that on half of that budget, $10 million. As a private citizen, I was a carpenter, a licensed contractor and a developer. I developed more than 200 housing units in Charlotte and County with governmental programs, with private money, all the way from multi-million-dollar houses to pilot program, federal and state housing. So I have that experience, which is our major problem in this area right now is housing. I'm going to take that experience down to Lansing, the knowledge I have of those programs, the knowledge of why those programs aren't here any longer because of rules changes. You need expertise. You need someone who has lived through these budgets, through the millions, multi-million-dollar budgets, to go down to Lansing. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Loffbaum?
Yeah, I don't have a long resume, but I am on the County Planning and Zoning, which I really enjoy that job, and I do have a job, the county commissioners give me a job as appeals board for sanitary sewage, and we've been able to add a lot of value to the county. Other experiences, I've been a few places, talked to a few federal judges, like try to stay interested in what's going on and get different people's opinion, and it's amazing where you end up sometimes when you do pay attention. So I mean, I think I have some experience working with a variety of people, and I would say that's my strong